So, Dr. Humus, are you saying that there is no evidence for design on creative process occurring in the universe?
I say absolutely not. We are all progressing to greater and greater complexity in a random, unguided process. And all this talk from creationists who say we are deteriorating and de-evolving, it's absolute rubbish. Rubbish, I say. We are ascending, not descending.
Are you going to be alright?
Please carry on.
So, Dr. Humus, in conclusion, what you are essentially telling all us, whacked out creationists, is this?
Once upon a time there was nothing and nobody at all, and nobody ever did nothing, yet somehow something happened out of nothing that nobody did. And I say that's really rather quite something, don't you think? Well, class, welcome to Biology 101. We're going to learn about bugs and slugs and stuff, cut up some frogs and pollywogs, but before we get to all that, we are going to study the irrefutable fact that you are a mere cosmic accident,
a mere conglomeration of mutating molecules, coming together purely by chance, billions upon billions of years ago, just pointless, purposeless particles, bursting forth from a Big Bang explosion, just a fiery inferno of farting flatulence, flittering and floating around, hurling up superheated helium-hydrogen gas that magically mutated into microscopic microbes, genetically generated jello causing a cacophony of crazy kooky critters, slippery, slimy, scum-sucking specimens, sloshing and slurping their way into a disgusting, sloppy primordial pond of poopy soup, unguided gooey gobs and blobs of things, meaninglessly puttering about in an unceasing cesspool of discombobulated bottom dwellers that produce creepy crawly crustaceans, terribly terrifying trilobites, mysteriously morphing to their wanton will into a plethora of fantastic floppy flipper-thin fish. These schools of scaly swimmers swish up serenely sedate streams and calm cathartic creeks of uniform, undirected undulations that cause these kindly currents to cut and carve out catastrophic cavernous canyons, slyly slithering to sleepy sandy slopes, finally affixing four fickle feet amphibia as to latch, leap, and lock onto the land as illustrious lizards, eating up untold numbers of unsuspecting, industrious insects and beastly bug relatives. We crawled, clawed, chewed, and killed our way up the chain of command that gave us the gumption to grow into these gigantically gargantuan Godzillas called dinosaurs, who gorged and gouged each other, getting ourselves a really good-sized beating from a myriad of mysterious meteorites, beaten down as beautifully buried fossils for endless ages by finitely thin frostings of oxygen-free silt, taking us on into finely adorned feathered fluffiness. Just pretty birds flipping, flapping, and flying through fantastic foliage and forest, till we flew the coop to become a cornucopia of cute cuddly cubs, kits, cats, canine, and cattle, effortlessly preferring to frivolously fashion ourselves with frisky and fuzzy fur, morphed our front feet into far-fetching arms and fingers that helped us fling and flip flippantly again to the fabulous forest and foliage as lovely little lemurs and mischievously mindless monkeys to learn to walk uprightly. We stood up sternly and straight. We stared ourselves in the mirror and began to shave. While seeing ourselves, we were rather discouraged and disappointed at our darkness, decided to adopt and adapt a little lighter pigment, until such time as an especially evolved and enlightened oligarchy elevated themselves to arrest our attention and annex our academia, media, and intelligentsia, illuminating the more vacuous vermin amongst us that we're all but products of an unguided process and mutating mistakes presented by the particularly progressive and popular propagandists. The infallibly distinguished dictator of dissident reason, Charles Darwin, who proudly promoted his pompous publication, his hilarious hypothesis, and supercilious and superior suppositional science, in his pathetically thin thesis, The Origin of the Species and the Preservation of the Favored Races of Man. In the struggle for life, he developed his ideas by radically racial reason-reducing dissidents D. Millay, David Hume, James Hutton, Lamarck, Charles Lyell, the disingenuous geologist, and his rival Albert Wallace. This careless cause was conveyed to Darwin's cousin, Francis Galton, the founder of eugenics, leading to the Huxley herd of hucksters and hustlers, and city survival of the fittest spokesman and sponsored Herbert Spencer, the psychotic psychiatrist Sigmund Freud, the not-so-nice nihilist Nietzsche, collective communist characters Vladimir Lenin, kooky Karl Marx, horribly humanist and screwy John Dewey, instigator of public education, Hitler, Himmler and his henchmen, stiff-necked Stalin, Mao Zedong, ferocious Philpo, adored and hell-bent Hawkins, deluded Dawkins, the monarch of mortuaries Miss Margaret Sanger, the mother of all merciless murder mill of infants, and pitiful Planned Parenthood processing plants, all unbelievably believing that material is all that matters and that man is the magnificent maker of his own marvelous manifestation, and the center of all reason in the universe, determining to disregard the disenfranchised, the disabled, the defenseless, the unprotected, the unrecognized, the unborn, and elderly, while evading all evidence of deliberate determinate design and the divine designer. dictating to the uneducated, unsuspecting masses that human life is valueless, convincing the collective that Christianity is the opiate of the marauding masses, punishing its opponents with the progressively powerful and poisonous propaganda of the undeniable dictates of natural science that makes mankind the marvelous messiah that he is, the impeccably perfect purveyor of poignant impartation, the intimidating inspired idiot and author of his own invention. These dismally disconnected, deceived, deprived, and depraved deniers of the divine designer who are desperately determined to adopt devilishly destructive ideas and dogmas that de-evolve into deteriorating destruction, disillusionment, death, and decay.
Oh, perhaps we are returning to nothing at all.
Well, class, that concludes our session today. Now run along or you'll be late for your sociology class, improving your self-esteem.
Let's go to you, by the way of the zoo. Let's go to you, by the way